What's going on YouTube? So when you first think of GMC SUVs, you probably first think of their large SUV, the Yukon. However, they have a whole lineup of crossovers also available, starting with this Terrain. This compact crossover has proven to be quite successful over the years. And for the 2022 model year, it has undergone a substantial refresh with updated styling, features, and even a new trim level. So is this handsome compact SUV a great alternative to the status quo? Let's go ahead and find out. So just like with any refresh, the main focus is on updating the exterior design. Now this has always been a very handsome SUV in my opinion, and for 2022 they really enhanced that. So one of the big things you'll notice is an updated front end design. This is, I would say, inspired by the latest version on the GMC Sierra, where you kind of have a little bit softer edges. Of course that model isn't even quite at dealerships yet, but I do really like the way this looks. Like I said, it looks a little softer than the hard square box that we had before. You've got several different finishes depending on which trim level you have, going all the way up to a full mesh one on the Denali trim level, and the new AT4 trim level. I should talk about that. That's going to, of course, have a rugged design. You're going to have thicker, dark chrome bars. You also have a more rugged lower fascia design as well. Now another one of our nice upgrades will be these headlights. So we now have standard full LED headlights across the entire lineup. As you can see, we do have the reflector beam LEDs for both low and high beams through here, with the really nice daytime running light that makes that cool bracket shape. That's across all the trim levels, but if you get the Denali, this will be substituted in for a projector LED. And then down here at the bottom, your upper end models will come with the LED fog lamps located inside of this piano black finish. And as we carry on to the side, once again, just like with pretty much every refresh, it wouldn't be complete until you update some of the wheels. We do have new options for 2022, starting with 17-inch alloys on the SLE. The AT4 as well as this SLT are going to come with the 18-inch alloys. We do have kind of a dark silver finish, which I think looks pretty nice on these. And of course you have 19-inch alloys with that fully loaded Denali trim level. And as we come up here to the mirrors, you will find heating standard on all the models. We do have a LED turn signal indicator on this model, and blind spot monitoring is going to be included in the GMC Pro Safety Plus package for most of the trim levels.
All right guys, so let's talk about the side of the GMC Terrain. As far as the length is concerned, you're looking at 182.3 inches in overall length, which does place it right on par with that of the vast majority of the competition. So nothing really extraordinary to talk about there. But I do want to talk about a few different design touches here at the side for the different trim levels. This right here is the SLT, which means that we will have the black moldings on the side as well as around our wheel arches and in the back. That is of course going to be on the vast majority of models. If you go for the Denali, it will body color everything out to give you a little bit more of a premium look. And then I want to point out up top, we do have some roof rails. We also have a floating design for the rear area here. If you go for the AT4, you'll have even taller roof rails for that off-road vibe. Now, coming around to the rear design, of course this is refreshed this year, and GMC has done a really good job with the refresh in terms of the overall design. I really like the way this looks. It has all the signature classy GMC elements that we've grown to appreciate from some of their bigger models brought down to this. We have an exposed wiper up here at the top, GMC branding, a little bit of chrome accenting right here. Then let's come to look at our taillights. These taillights are going to be new for the refresh this year. They are going to be full LED and they look absolutely amazing. I love the design. You have your nice bracket shape. You also have the brake light as well as the turn signal LED as well as an LED reverse light. Dropping down to the lower area, we do have some chrome trim. We're also going to have that black molding down here, and every GMC Terrain is going to have a 1,500 pound tow rating. All right, and now it is time to talk about our warranty information as well as your safety systems. So we'll start with the safety systems because this is a family vehicle. GMC is throwing in 3 out of 4 of them as standard equipment. Forward emergency braking, you have lane keeping assist as well as auto high beams. That's going to be on every single Terrain. Now, if you want adaptive cruise control, you will have to go for the Denali, where that is standard equipment, or you can option it on to the lower end trim levels. For the warranty, you are going to have the industry standard 3-year, 36,000 mile basic warranty, 5-year, 60,000 mile powertrain warranty, and GMC is throwing in the first complimentary maintenance visit included. Well guys, that's all for the outside design of this refreshed Terrain. Now let's go ahead and check out the interior before we take it out in a spin.
So walking up to the refreshed Terrain, we do have, of course, the intelligent entry system as standard equipment. We also have remote start when you get to the SLT trim level. And to get inside the vehicle, there's not a sensor, so just press the silver button. All right, let's go ahead and climb inside here. Of course, you will find several updates to the cabin, but by and large, the design itself is going to be mostly the same. However, let's go ahead and get things started by talking about your different interior color and material choices as always. So the base SLE trim level is the only model that's going to come with cloth seating. However, all of the rest of them will come with a leather. On the SLT, you've got the choice between black, or you have the really nice looking gray and black combination that we have on this model today. As you can see, we do have the black that traces around the outside edges of the headrest as well as the seat itself. Nice stitching details and perforation in the middle. Really nice looking seat, and the leather quality feels quite nice as well. Most of the other models do also have the same color choices, but if you choose the Denali, you do have a light platinum option for the leather. Now turning over to the seat itself, it is going to be 8-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar support. And as we take a look here at the door trim, we do have the nice leather that runs across the armrest with the stitching detail. It's soft touch along the top, and we do have a more realistic faux wood trim for 2022. On your upper end models, you do have 2-person memory seating as well. As far as the broader materials, like I said, you have seen some enhancements for 2022. Unlike its sibling, the Equinox, the entire upper dash is going to be finished in a soft touch plastic with a stitching detail. You have more of the faux wood trim. You also have a lot of real aluminum. So like this is a real genuine brushed aluminum. Looks really nice, and you'll see that reflected throughout the rest of the cabin. And as we move down to the lower areas, this will be hard touch, but everything does fit together pretty nicely. And to start up, put your foot on the brake and press the standard button. After she fires up, you will be greeted with the typical gauge cluster you've seen in the Terrain. This is the 4.2-inch multi-function display. However, this is not the news for 2022. The news is that you now have a new 8-inch reconfigurable gauge cluster if you choose the Denali trim level. Additionally, if you choose that Denali trim level, you also will get a new head-up display. This being the SLT, we don't have either of those to show off, but like I said, it is a nice addition to the top-end Denali trim level. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, you do have a nice leather-wrapped steering wheel across all the models. Again, you'll see the genuine brushed aluminum in the steering wheel itself. And as far as the wheel itself, you're going to have a manual tilt and telescoping one across the lineup, and it is heated starting on the SLT trim level. All right, so let's go ahead and check interior storage, where the Terrain does a pretty excellent job. So starting underneath the center console here, you're going to see a gigantic one. We have this piece which we can just pull off and set to the side. And as you can see, this goes down really, really deep. Has a felt lining at the very bottom there and a couple USB ports. Nothing's official though until we stick the coupons in there. There you go. As you can see, it absolutely dwarfs them. We could fit at least a double stack. Now up in front of that, we've got our 2 cup holders. We have another storage area right here with some more USB ports and connections. This could be a wireless phone charging pad. And then we also have a center pass-through. As you can see, there is a kind of piece of plastic there that separates the 2 sides. So you have 2 little storage shelves, but you can also pass through if you need to do that as well. So plenty of space inside of this cabin. Of course, one of the reasons why you have plenty of space is because we have this electronic shifter, which is located up here on the dashboard out of the way. continues to operate the same way. So you're just going to pull that little tab there for drive. You can control manual shifts right here if you need to. And then you do the opposite for reverse. When you go into reverse, you will find a standard backup camera. This is what that looks like with the active trajectory. You do also have the availability of a 360-degree camera system. That's going to be included if you go for the Denali or the tech package in the SLT or AT4 trim levels. And then for park, of course, you're going to press the P, and we do have an electronic parking brake on board. Coming back here, I will point out, of course, you got your all-wheel drive controls right here. We do also have 3-stage heated seats. Those are standard on the SLT trim level with separated back and butt controls. Ventilation is included with the Denali Premium package. However, you might notice if you buy one right at this time of the year, they don't function. That's because, of course, the chip shortage, as you know. You do have a $50 credit in the meantime, and you will get a later retrofit. General Motors is saying that's going to be quarter to 2022, so it shouldn't be too long before you can get those heated seats activated again. And in terms of the general climate control, we do have a dual zone automatic climate control on most of the trim levels of the Terrain. As you can see, very simple to use, big, easy buttons with zones and everything located right here physically. We also have nice large physical controls for our audio system. So we do have a standard 6-speaker audio system. You can get a Bose premium sound system by choosing the Denali, but let's go ahead and sample the regular one. Yeah, so overall sound quality is pretty good for the average consumer. All right, so let's turn our attention up here to our display. We do have 2 different displays. It's going to be a 7-inch for just the SLE trim level. All the rest of the trim levels will come with the 8-inch display you're looking at right now. Of course, one of the important new features, which I just want to start out by talking about, is the fact that we now have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. So there's my phone, as you can see, not physically connected, and we are in the Android Auto interface. And in terms of the main system, it is GMC Infotainment 3, so it has a nice, easy-to-use software. You would also get built-in navigation as a standard feature if you chose the Denali trim level. Moving on up here, we do have an auto-dimming mirror, and we have our HomeLink Universal remotes located up here, up near the sunglass holder. And additionally, we do have, on this specific example, a panoramic sunroof. So this is optional for about $1,500, and as you can see, it is a very, very large piece of glass, goes all the way back to the second row passengers, and the front portion does open up.
Well guys, hop on back here and join me in the Terrain's rear area. This is a really spacious offering, I have to admit. My first impression just sitting back here, I'm like, wow, there is a lot of space, and really the seats are very comfortable as well, so there's a lot of comfort thrown in as well. We'll start out by talking about the legroom figures themselves. They're coming in at 39.7 inches of legroom, 38.5 inches of headroom, and as you can see, I'm 5'9". This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and I have, I mean, honestly, I'd say probably 7 or so inches of rear legroom, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. So I have a lot of space, a lot of comfort. This is one of the largest offerings in the segment, so that's certainly a benefit. You can also see that the seats do recline to give you that extra comfort. Then as far as our feature set that we're going to have here in the center, we do have vents. That's a really nice touch to see on a model like this. Then if we drop down below that, we have 2 charging USB ports. And at the very bottom, we also have a household style outlet. That is going to be on the higher end Terrain models. As you can see, we do have that feature, which is really nice to see within this segment. A lot of the rivals don't throw that in on any of the trim levels. If we fold down the center armrest, we have cup holders inside, nice armrest. If we turn to the door trim, you will notice the top part is going to be a pretty nice material here. It is hard touch though for the back. We do have a padded armrest. You're also going to notice that we have a lot of storage though. We have this little storage slot right here. Down below that you have a bottle holder, and I also want to point out heated rear seats are available on the Terrain. You just have to get the Denali with the premium package. All right, and let's check out the cargo area. This is a family car, so you're going to be taking this on vacation, whatever. So The tailgate is going to be power if you go for an SLT and above. It will also throw in the hands-free abilities on those models. So just wave your foot under the bumper to open up. They put the projection, but you can't see it. Ah, there we go.
Totally random places.
It is on the left side of the vehicle. It's not right in the center. Now, come with me and we'll check out the cargo space itself back here. We're going to be looking at 29.6 cubic feet behind the second row seats. The second row does fold 60-40 split. That expands up to 63.3 cubic feet of cargo capacity. That does place it a little bit below some of the largest offerings in the segment, Rogue, RAV4 CRV. Those are going to be a little bit larger, although this is plenty of space, I'd say, for the average family. Now, let's talk about some of our finishings. We do have a carpeting along the floor. If we lift that up, you will notice we have additional space up under here. It's actually quite a bit of additional space. And then up underneath of that, you will find a spare tire. There you go. There's a spare tire. And then off to the sides, you do have some cubbies. And then as far as the seats themselves, you can use these levers to fold them down. And as you can see, they do fold completely flat with the rear area. Now for your passenger seat, we do have one of these higher end models, so it is going to be power adjusting. That said, it is only power on up and down, so it's four-way power, slide forward and back as well as up. For the back extension, you have to reach all the way back here, and then that is, you know, how you adjust the back. You also do have lumbar support though, so that's an interesting touch. You don't see that on very many cars nowadays. Now, in front of the passenger, we do have this little storage cubby right here. I don't know really what you would put in here. We also have a storage cubby down here by my left knee. It's actually quite a bit of space. And then if we pop open the glove box, there's also going to be a lot of space here in the glove box. As you can see, our coupons just fit in there perfectly fine, and it is nicely dampened. Then up top, we do have a sun visor. It's going to have a large mirror. We have gently fading in LED lighting, and then we can also detach it as well as extend it out.
And there we are up to 55 with this GMC Terrain. So with this model, what you're going to have is a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that's making 170 horsepower, 203 pound-feet of torque. As you can see, power is fine. This is, you know, a competitive amount of power, a little down on the horsepower, a little higher on the torque figure. And all in all, you know, you have, like I said, very competitive power number and output with against the competition.
Yeah. And one thing that I mentioned actually in the Chevy Equinox review, which does of course share the same powertrain or engine, is that it is a very refined motor. So when you accelerate there, that was a really hard acceleration, you know, probably harder than most people will do on the daily, and it still seemed very quiet and refined. It's, you know, getting there with like something like a Honda CRV in terms of its quietness and refinement, which I certainly do appreciate out of this engine.
Exactly. When you have that small displacement, it generally does make it as a very quiet engine.
And the torque is also really good. It really pushes you back in your seat.
Now, if you're wondering about any other engine options, I believe it was last year that GMC discontinued the diesel option as well as the 2-liter turbo. So all of the models are going to have this 1.5 turbo at this point.
Yeah.
And Mason was talking about the Equinox, and as he said, it shares the same engine, but interestingly enough, it does not share the same transmission. We have a different transmission on board. This one has a 9-speed automatic transmission. That's going to give you 3 additional gears over top of the Equinox. And, you know, it's a pretty good transmission. Shifting seems to be pretty smooth generally. When I put my foot down, drops a couple gears pretty quickly, gives you that extra power that you need. And of course you have standard front wheel drive and optional all-wheel drive as well.
And while we're cruising here, I do want to get a sound level reading for us, going 55. Before we start slowing down here, looking at 59.5 decibels. That is a pretty solid reading. I do hear a little bit, I think it's more just road noise, maybe a little bit of tire noise. The wind noise does seem really good in this. I think that's a little bit higher than some of the competitive vehicles that we've tested, but overall, it's still very quiet in here. And I do want to talk about the comfort level because that's a really strong element for the terrain. This is a very comfortable product. Just sitting here in the passenger seat, the seat itself is comfortable. It really soaks up the bumps, definitely as well as I would expect out of anything in this segment. I'm impressed. There's really nothing to complain about here.
Right, and keep in mind, if you spring for that top-end Denali, you are going to get a premium suspension, which is going to enhance the ride quality even more.
And let's go ahead and talk about our fuel economy figures. As Drew mentioned just a little bit ago, you do have standard front wheel drive, optional all wheel drive for the terrain. So front wheel drive is going to be coming in at 25, 30, 27. All wheel drive knocks that down 1 mpg combined down to 26 miles a gallon combined. That is pretty good fuel economy for the segment. That's really on par with most of the rivals. It does use regular fuel as well if you're curious about that. Alrighty, and we are in Kentucky after all, so it's time for us to do our signature airball and slam dunk, our favorite thing, as well as the thing that we think they could improve on. I'll kick us off with the slam dunk. Our favorite thing is the exterior design. They really have furthered the overall design for 2022 to make it even more premium and nice looking. I always thought this was one of the best looking cars in the segment. It has really a cool masculine vibe. A lot of the elements brought down from the Sierra onto a vehicle like this. It really just looks so good in a segment that sometimes can look subpar.
And then on the airball side of things, going back to the engines, like we said, they did get rid of some of the optional engines. So certainly, at least on the higher end models like the Denali, which is going to be a pretty pricey option, I would like to see the 2-liter motor re-added to the lineup again.
Yeah, me too. But let's talk about our pricing for this model. So for 2022, prices are going to rise just a little bit, not too much overall though. So the SLE is going to be starting at $27,900, SLT $31,900, AT4 $34,000, and the Denali is $36,600. That does come standard. The last two do come standard with all-wheel drive. This model is the SLT with quite a few options on it. So all told, we're looking at $37,280 with the $1195 destination charge.
And as we take off here, pay attention to the auto start stop. Very nice and smooth. They've done a great job here. Definitely, I think, has improved over the years, and you can defeat it right here if you still don't like it. But overall, I have to say, really happy with what GMC has done with this terrain. They've really made improvements in the places that were important to make improvements. It was already a very nice looking vehicle, but I think that they made it look even nicer, and having new premium features like the standard LED headlights, the really nice LED taillights. This is really just an impressive model. And at the beginning we said, is this a good alternative to the status quo? Because I feel like a lot of people don't really think about this terrain. And more people really should consider it because it's got a lot of things that people would really like to have when shopping in this segment.
Well guys, thanks so much for joining us in this in-depth review of the 2022 GMC Terrain SLT. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, please help us out by hitting that subscribe button down below. It's completely free to you, and all it's going to do is give you access to a lot more automotive content. So if you're into cars at all, I promise you won't regret subscribing. Also follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.